Exercise 11.2, triangle properties and formulas. Some properties of triangles, starting very basic. Triangles are polygons that have three sides. In any triangle, the biggest side is always across from the biggest angle. The smallest side is always across from the smallest angle. The side length, obviously, in between the biggest and smallest is across from the angle that's in between the biggest and the smallest. That's a very, very important property of triangles that you need to remember for a lot of things that you do when you work with triangles. If two angles in a triangle are equal, then the two sides opposite those angles are equal. That is called an isosceles triangle. If all three angles are equal in a triangle, then all three sides are also equal. That is called an equilateral triangle. So remember, there is a relationship between the angles in a triangle and the sides opposite those angles in a triangle. Keep that in mind whenever you are working with triangles. A triangle with a right angle is called a right triangle, and the side opposite the right triangle is called the hypotenuse. So if I draw a quick right triangle here, that angle is a right angle. The side opposite that right angle is always the longest side, and it is called the hypotenuse. The reason we know that that is the longest side is there's only 90 degrees left now in this triangle, which means this right angle has to be the biggest angle. If that's the biggest angle, the side across from it has to be the biggest side, and in a right triangle, that is called the hypotenuse of the triangle. Pythagorean Theorem. Most students know Pythagorean Theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, which is great if you know what a, b, and c represent. There's the Pythagorean Theorem. The Pythagorean Theorem holds true, remember, only for right triangles. If it is not a right triangle, the Pythagorean Theorem does not hold true. So instead of thinking a squared plus b squared equals c squared, I like to think of the Pythagorean Theorem as being leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. Now that tells me, first of all, when you see hypotenuse, you know that we have to be talking about a right triangle, because a right triangle is the only type of triangle that has a hypotenuse. And also it tells you very specifically what A, B, and C represent. A and B are the two legs of the right triangle, or the two sides that make up the right angle. C is the hypotenuse, so leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. This is a leg, this is a leg, and this is the hypotenuse. So leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. For right triangles only is the Pythagorean theorem. Perimeter. To find the perimeter of any figure, remember we just add up all the sides. So for a triangle, we're going to add up the lengths of all three sides. Area of a triangle. You must know the base and the height of the triangle to be able to find the area, and there is the formula for finding area of a triangle. Area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height, or base times height divided by 2. And here's where you need to be careful. Okay, in a triangle, the base can always be the bottom side. The height, though, is not always necessarily a side in the given triangle. Okay, to identify the height in this triangle, we would have to drop down right here, and this segment would be the height. Okay, so not actually a side in the triangle. Basically, what you need to always look for when you're identifying the height is look for this right angle. Okay, because the height has to be the distance from the bottom side up to wherever the top of the triangle is. That always will be a right angle where that height is found. Okay, so looking at this example, find the missing side length, then find the perimeter and area of the triangle. Well, let's find the missing side first. Need to know that in order to find the perimeter or area. This is a right triangle, so we can use Pythagorean theorem. Leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. Plug all this into your calculator and simplify. X squared plus 25 equals 169. X squared equals 144. Take the square root, and x has to be 12. So this bottom side here, x, is 12 units. So now if I want to go and find the perimeter, simply add up all the sides. So I need to take 5 plus 12 plus 13, and we see the perimeter here is going to be 30 units. Area. Well, we know area is base times height divided by 2. So in this case, the area is going to be 12 times 5. And for a right triangle, it does happen to be the two sides that make up, because again, we're looking for that right angle. So base times height divided by 2. Plug that into your calculator. 12 times 5 divided by 2. And we get 30 square units. Remember, area measures are always in square units. So if you have units, it'll be centimeters squared, inches squared, feet squared, something like that. If it's perimeter, it's just whatever the units are, centimeters, inches, feet, whatever it is, because we're simply just adding 3 sides up.